What do you do when you get 28 cups of fresh muscadine juice? You make muscadine jelly. I'll show you how I did that with 8 cups of it coming up next. Okay, here are all my supplies for making jelly. I just have one jar sitting out. I actually have the other jars in the dishwasher. I have a pot that I'm going to pour my juice into, and the pot's much bigger than the amount of juice I have, and that's because it will do some foaming, and I want to make sure I don't overflow my pot. And then I have my juice. It's already measured. I'm doing a double batch, so that's 8 cups. The recipe calls for 4 per batch. Then I have my bands. Then I have lids. Then I have the little metal things that go inside the pint jars when you ladle the juice in. I also have a ladle and a spoon, and then a jar holder. And then in the very back on the stove, I have a pot that I have water boiling in, or starting to boil. No, I think it is boiling. Then I'm going to sterilize everything in, including my jars. So the next step, I'm going to pour my juice in my pot. Then I have to wash my measuring pitcher, because the recipe says to make sure you use the same measure as you did for the juice for sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll get to making jelly. Okay, now I'm going to add the pectin to my juice. But I want to show you in the and back here I have my lids getting warm, because they're supposed to be warm when you put them on the jars. Also, I'm going to go ahead and add the pectin to my juice, and then I'm going to get my sugar measured. I have to add the pectin to the cold juice, and then bring it to a full boil and add the sugar. And remember, I'm making a double batch. So I have 2 things of pectin in mine. And this is my first time this year making jelly, so I'm making sure I read my directions each time. And I really do that every time I do jelly, but I just want to make sure I don't make any mistakes. The pectin is kind of clumped up a little bit in the back. Probably should have sprinkled it on a little better, but I'm just smushing it against the side of the pot, just kind of breaking it up. I'm supposed to stir that in real good and bring that to a boil. So I'm going to go ahead and get my fire going. And I believe as it heats up, that pectin will break up also. Alright, I have to have 14 cups of sugar. And so my measure is just an 8-cup measure, so I have me a bowl back in the back to pour it in. That was 8. 6. Wait a minute, 6 and 6 is 12. No, I need 13 cups of sugar. I'm sorry. So I need this to be 5, not 6. I almost messed up with my addition. Try and get as exact as you can. Now, I have my sugar measured, and I'm just going to bring this pot to a boil. When I do, I'll add the sugar. It says to add it all at one time. Let's see what else it says. I have to bring the sugar back to a boil that cannot be stirred down, and I time it for 2 minutes, and then I turn the heat off and I quickly put it in my jars. So anyway, this takes a little while. I don't like to bring it up to a boil really fast. I'm scared of scorching the bottom. So when I get to the point of adding the sugar, we'll start filming again. Okay, my juice is boiling, and now it's time to add the measured sugar. And you see how high up the liquid comes on the pot once you get the sugar in too, so it's always good to allow extra room in your pot. Okay, now I have to get this to a boil and boil it for 2 minutes, and I will be back when it's time to put it in the jars. In the meantime, I'll be sterilizing my jars. I'm kind of running behind. I just thought I'd show you how I sterilize and what I do with the jars. You see the dish pan, I forgot to add that to my things that I like to use, because I put my jars in my dish pan with some boiling water in the bottom to keep the jars good and hot while I'm waiting on the jelly to be ready. Obviously you have to be very careful. This is boiling water. Another thing I use is this pitcher. It's an electric pitcher that you can actually put on the little thing on the bottom, and it actually heats this water really fast, and I love to use it. My timer just went off. I boiled it for 2 minutes. Turn this fire off. I thought it was going to come out of the pot at one point. I had it all the way down on low. This is a gas burner, so you know the heat is off of it now. You see this right there is the foam that it talks about, that you can skim that off. And so I'll get a little bit of that off. Okay. Another thing that I forgot to mention was that you always check around the very top of your jar. That's where it's going to be making the seal with the lid. And if you have a chip in the glass there, it will not seal and your jelly will spoil. So always run your finger around the top of it to make sure it doesn't have a little chip. Now I don't throw this away, I put this aside, and this is our first taste of our jelly. Because it still tastes good, you just wouldn't want that in your jelly. And also I find that nothing burns like jelly liquid. It burns very, very bad. Alright, I hope y'all are going to be able to see this. I've got to get busy and get this dished up, or it's not going to, it'll start setting up before I get it in the jars. You want to make sure you leave that head space. You don't want to fill it up past that little rim. Oop, and I just did that one. I'll have to get a spoon and get some of that out. Jelly's not a hard thing to do, but it's not something you can walk away from. You've got to stay diligent and stay on top of it. Also, when I'm making jelly, I always have an extra jar or two out, ready to go, just in case it makes a little more than what it says on the recipe. And the jelly's definitely starting to set up already. Oh, I just stuck my finger in it and it's hot. If I were to leave jelly on here, the lid would not make good contact with the glass and it wouldn't seal. Or it'd be a very loose seal and prone to coming undone. So that's why you always wipe the glass in anything that you're canning. It's always important for it to be clean. And with this, I had an extra lid also, and I'm glad I did because I actually made one more jar than what the recipe had said. Very hot. Oh, you know, that's the wrong one, isn't it? Didn't make a full extra. This is my extra jar that I made. There it is. This jar is one of my favorites. I just think it's so pretty. And I guess you can see it's got fruit on it right there. So. I screwed the lid on enough to where I can pick up on it, and then I put in the towel and tighten it down. That's another one of the little pretty jars. Because remember, that was boiling water that I have in the bottom of here too, so that water gets kind of hot. All right, here's my finished jelly. I've got 12 full jars and a half of a half-pint jar. Thanks for watching our video today. I hope you learned a lot about making jelly. I'd love to hear some of your comments below, and if you haven't subscribed, I wish you would do that now. Hope you have a great day.